Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Weirdcast. I'm really excited today to have Jeremy Corbell. Jeremy, it is your belief that the planet is being engaged by an extraterrestrial species, if not more than one species.
I no longer have the luxury of disbelief, is the way I'll say it. Evidence becomes weighty. It's like if you, as a casual observer, just spend a little bit of amount of time looking into this, you have historically, from the beginning of recorded human history, millions and millions and millions of people all seeing the same type of thing. And if just one out of these millions of historic reports coming from everybody from astronauts to politicians to, the mom and pops that own a restaurant, every kind of person you can imagine, trained military observers. We have documents of this.
Right.
If just one of these sightings is truly representative of a non-terrestrial craft engaging humanity or our Earth, just one, then the phenomenon is real.
It's validated.
We are not alone in the universe, and more importantly, because everybody kind of accepts that now, which they didn't 20 years ago, they're coming here.
Right.
So I no longer have the luxury of disbelief, and this is because of the weight of the evidence of the people that I've been able to interview and talk with, and the information I've been able to access.
I did some research on, it was Dr. Lear. He was the most compelling of those who claim to have physical evidence for the alien UFO phenomenon. And you came up as having made the documentary, Patient 17.
This is the most significant pieces of actual UFO and extraterrestrial data we have ever seen.
It's the biggest story of the 20th and 21st centuries. It's the biggest story never told.
This sample did not come from our solar system, much less the Earth.
Patient 17 is essentially a movie about an experiencer. It's about a person that had abductive experiences, which to me I knew nothing about. This was not the area in the study of UFOs that I had ever looked into. And this gentleman had this claim that he was abducted. This doctor found something in his body. The object was denser than bone, and one of the criteria that Dr. Lear put forward was that it had to be emitting a frequency, which I thought was totally bizarre. And so I guess this guy passed through all these tests, a psychological exam, and Dr. Lear said he would do a surgery on him. Now, I got involved because I was just, Dr. Lear, I just knew him, it was through my friend Ruben, and he says, I want this documented. He had seen some of my other film work, and it was the last thing I wanted to do was get involved with this alleged off-world implant removal surgery thing, right? And it just sounded so outlandish to me, and it wasn't the area of my focus. But he convinced me to film the surgery and to start the documentary. And as I started going down this rabbit hole and started filming it and getting everything analyzed and tested, I have to say, it was the patient himself. This is not a crazy person. This is a 6'9" cowboy, a construction dude, not the kind of guy you'd imagine to have these abductive experiences.
Yeah.
That's why I stayed this course. And then as everything started being revealed, it kept my attention. So that's what that movie, Patient 17, is about. That's how I met Dr. Lear. I was reluctant. I didn't want to make a film on this. But then give me a year, and here we are today. And
You've done a number of films in the field. You did one about Bob Lazar.
yeah, short.
That's the one I'm so excited to hear about.
Well, because Lazar's kind of, if you think of these guys like the Justice League, who would you say is Superman?
Oh gosh, well, Lazar is like Elvis, and all of a sudden he's alive again. He just talked out for the first time in a quarter century. My mentor is a guy named George Knapp. George Knapp is the head investigative reporter in Las Vegas, Nevada. So he's broke tons of stories. He has 2 Peabody Awards. He has 24 Emmys. He'll never say that, but he does. And he's an incredible journalist. And he got kind of delivered a bunch of information by this guy named John Lear about extraterrestrials. They're alleged.
A different Lear, different spelling.
Right, that is very important. Totally different Lear. This is the son of William P. Lear, who's the Learjet guy.
Right.
So, but basically, my point is that George Knapp was kicking down doors and broke this story wide open about Area 51. The only reason you know the name Area 51 is because of Bob Lazar. These guys are like, ex-CIA and pilots, and they're kind of stalking out this like secret government compound. You can go up on mountains and look down on it, and they're kind of aviation buffs, and that's how this all started. But what really put Area 51 on the map, why it's like on the Nevada postcard and why everybody knows it, is because of the Bob Lazar story, because of what he claimed.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone down a path myself and delved pretty deep into the topic. And coming away from it, I have family members who are born again Christian. I have friends who have different philosophies. How do you suggest someone begins to wrap their head around this topic who may have fundamental beliefs that oppose it? Or a lot of times they may make that association with angels and demons. And sometimes I feel that's a bit dangerous to go down that road.
Fundamentally, curiosity is your greatest weapon, right? So with a curious mind, you're going to kind of turn over a rock or a stone. You're going to look into stuff. What I would suggest is, we have to be open to the fact that everything we think we know is an immaculate deception, that life could be bigger or smaller than we imagine, and our place in it could be bigger or smaller. So when we have a set belief that's like hard, like a rock, like frozen water, what I'd say is melt that. What I'd say is just allow yourself to look at this subject from different perspectives, use a rational mind, come at it from a scientific standpoint, but be open-minded enough to ask the questions. And that's kind of my perspective is I don't buy anything. If somebody, look, I have street smarts, always have. I'm not going to just fall for something. I take the warrior mentality and I put it into investigative filmmaking. And look, I've learned a lot. Every day I think I know something. I learn something new that engages my curiosity. So what I would say is just stay curious, nurture your own curiosity about this.
That's great.
I definitely think that there's probably something else out there like us. Like, this universe is so massive. Who's to say that there isn't? And I think it's wrong for you to be like so closed-minded that there's nothing. Like, to be so skeptical of everything that there's nothing else out there.
I feel like there's a desire for humanity in a lot of regards to be at the top of the chain. It's uncomfortable to imagine that we're not the sharpest tools in the shed, right? Because what does it imply?
Well, my question would be, have you had an experience yourself, other than the documentaries you've done with people who have you had one, and what was it like?
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, unfortunately, I have not had the mothership experience. I've not ever seen anything like that.
You thought you did, though, right?
In what way?
There was a story that you saw something and it turned out to be...
Oh, that was hilarious. So it's really funny. Really funny that you're... No, I didn't think I did. But what happened was, it's so funny because today in the news, I just read Bill Nye comes out on Huffington Post and he says, "Oh, of course, there's probably extraterrestrials all over and exoplanets. Of course, of course there's UFOs." So I have a little history of Bill Nye. I'm walking through Santa Monica. I see these things going in the sky. I've never filmed anything about UFOs, and they look crazy. Look like the Silver Surfer. So I take my iPhone, I film it up, put it up on YouTube, and I'm like, does anybody know what this is? First thing, the news picks it up. Bill Nye comes on the local stations, and he goes, "brine shrimp." And I was like, what? And I had to look it up on Wikipedia. I'm like, what is a brine shrimp? He was basically saying that I superimposed sea monkeys into my footage to look like objects in the sky. So this got me extremely pissed off because it's the classic like swamp gas from the 60s where that's an old thing where they dismissed Project Blue Book and the government dismissed this really important UFO case by saying it was swamp gas, right? Which was totally illogical. It wasn't. So I felt like sea monkeys was the new swamp gas. I got super pissed off. So I found aviation experts. I formed a little community. We got about 6 different camera angles of these same objects. And I collected all this data. We found out the rate of speed, the rate of descent. And after having this science guy go on TV and like basically talk shit about me and saying I was I don't even know how to superimpose anything into film at the time, right? I have an iPhone. And I was able to prove definitively that it was the Red Bull skydiving team jumping out of a plane with flares on their feet. And I thought that was hilarious.
Oh my
But-
God.
You did the work to debunk,
to
your
debunk my own sighting.
sighting.
But the thing was I was never saying it was, I was asking people, does anybody know what this was? And then
Right.
that really taught me something. And that inspired me to kind of, fight a little bit, because I realized that it's so easy for us to make fun of something that is uncomfortable or taboo. And this really is an important question. Are we alone? And are we being visited?